At my brother's wedding, she told my entire family, "I'll never change my last name or have your kids." Everyone went silent. I said, "Your choice." She didn't expect me to actually respect it by walking away. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I'm a 32-year-old software engineer. Stable job, good relationship with my family, never been the dramatic type. I've always been the guy who thinks things through, maybe overthinks them if I'm honest. When I met Sarah 3 years ago at a friend's barbecue, I thought I'd found someone who balanced me out, spontaneous where I was careful, bold where I was reserved. We dated for 2.5 years. Moved in together after the first year. It felt right, or at least I thought it did. She was ambitious, driven, a marketing director at a mid-sized firm. I respected that about her. We had fun together. Good conversations, good chemistry, shared enough interests. About 3 months before my brother's wedding, I proposed. Nothing elaborate, a nice dinner, a ring I'd spent 2 months' salary on, the whole traditional thing. She said yes. Our families were thrilled. Looking back now, there were signs. Little things I explained away because I loved her and thought that's what you do in relationships. You overlook the small stuff. She'd roll her eyes when my mom would talk about future grandbabies. She'd make jokes about marriage being a ball and chain that I'd laugh off as just her sense of humor. When we'd visit my family, she'd sometimes seem distant, like she was tolerating it rather than enjoying it. But she showed up, and I figured that was what mattered. My brother Tom got married on a Saturday in June. Beautiful ceremony at a vineyard upstate, the kind of wedding where everything feels warm and right. Tom and his bride Jessica exchanged traditional vows, the for better or worse, in sickness and in health, kind. And when they kissed, my mom cried. My dad squeezed her hand. It was the kind of moment that makes you believe in marriage, you know? Sarah had been quiet during the ceremony. I noticed, but weddings can be emotional and overwhelming. During the cocktail hour, she had a few glasses of champagne. By the time we sat down for dinner, she seemed irritated, though I couldn't pin down why. Our table was me, Sarah, my parents, my aunt and uncle, and my cousin. The conversation was light, people complimenting the venue, talking about how beautiful Jessica looked, the usual wedding reception stuff. At some point, my mother turned to Sarah with this sweet, grandmother hopeful smile and said, "So, have you two thought about timing? I know it's early, but I can't help dreaming about more grandbabies." I was about to deflect with a joke about how we'd just gotten engaged when Sarah put down her wine glass harder than necessary. "Let's be clear right now," she said, her voice cutting through the ambient conversation. "I'm never changing my last name, and I'm never having kids. This is who I am. If anyone has a problem with that, too bad." The table went silent. Not just our table, the tables around us. People mid-bite with forks frozen halfway to their mouths. My mother's smile faltered. My father's hand tightened around his glass. My aunt looked at me with these wide, concerned eyes. Everyone was staring at me, waiting for my reaction, waiting for me to be blindsided, to argue, to create a scene at my brother's wedding. Here's the thing, I wasn't blindsided. Not completely. We'd talked about kids before. Early in our relationship, when you have those big theoretical conversations about the future, Sarah had said she was maybe open to it someday. The last name thing she'd mentioned once or twice, saying she'd worked hard to build her career under her name. I'd told her I understood, that we could figure it out. And I meant it. The last name thing alone didn't bother me that much. But sitting there, hearing her make this declaration, not as a conversation with me, not as something we'd discuss privately, but as a public ultimatum issued to my family at my brother's wedding, something crystallized. It wasn't what she said. It was how she said it. The aggression. The finality. The way she positioned it as a challenge. Take it or leave it. The way she'd chosen this moment, this place, to plant her flag. I looked at her. Then I looked at my mother's hurt expression. At my father's protective anger on my behalf. At my brother, visible at the head table, watching our table with concern. I took a breath. Put down my fork. Smiled. "Okay," I said calmly. "That's your choice." Then I turned to Tom at the head table, raised my glass slightly, and called out, "Hey, where are you guys honeymooning again? Jessica mentioned somewhere tropical." Tom, bless him, understood I was throwing him a lifeline. Police, he called back. 2 weeks of doing absolutely nothing. Sounds perfect, I said, and launched into a question about whether they were planning to scuba dive. The conversation slowly resumed. My mother looked confused but followed my lead. Sarah sat there, something like disappointment flickering across her face. I think part of her had wanted the fight, wanted the drama, wanted to prove some point about her independence or my family's expectations. I stayed pleasant for the rest of the evening, danced with my mother, congratulated my brother, made small talk. Sarah kept trying to bait me with little comments. "You're okay with this, right?" she asked while we were at the bar. "With what?" I asked, knowing exactly what. With what I said. About my choices. "Sarah," I said, meeting her eyes, "I've always respected your choices. That's never been the issue." She frowned, confused. "Then what is the issue?" "We'll talk about it later," I said, and ordered another drink. The drive home was quiet. She kept glancing at me, waiting for the explosion that wasn't coming. When we got to our apartment, she kicked off her heels and said, "Your mom shouldn't have brought up kids like that. It was presumptuous. She's excited about being a grandmother," I said. "Tom and Jessica just got married. It's a natural topic." Well, I shut that down. "You did," I agreed. She waited. I walked to the bedroom and started getting ready for bed. "That's it," she called after me. "No discussion? You made an announcement, not an opening for discussion," I said. "I'm respecting your position. What else is there to say tonight?" She stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "You're being weird." "I'm tired," I said. "It's been a long day." We went to bed in silence. Monday morning, I took a personal day. Told my boss I had some urgent family stuff to handle, which wasn't entirely untrue. Sarah went to work like normal. She'd been refreshing her Instagram all morning, commenting on wedding photos, seemingly unbothered by the whole thing. I started making calls. First, the venue. We'd booked a restored barn in Connecticut for October, put down a deposit 4 weeks ago. I'd read the contract carefully when we signed it. There was a cancellation clause. If we canceled more than 4 months out, we'd lose the deposit but wouldn't know anything else. I was still within that window. Barely. "I need to cancel our wedding booking," I told the events coordinator. "Oh no. I'm so sorry. Is everything okay?" "We've decided not to move forward," I said. "Can you email me the cancellation confirmation?" "Of course. You'll lose the deposit, I'm afraid, as per the contract." "I understand. Thank you." Next was the wedding planner. Sarah had wanted one, said it would make everything easier. I'd thought it was an unnecessary expense, but I'd agreed. Another compromise. I wrote a brief email. "Hi Jennifer, we need to cancel our wedding planning services. Please send a final invoice for any work completed to date. Thank you for your time." The caterer, the photographer, the florist. One by one, I worked through the list. Most were understanding, professional. A few asked if we wanted to postpone instead of cancel. I said no. Cancellation was final. I called my groomsmen, 3 college friends, and my brother. "Hey man, wedding's off," I said to each of them. "I'll explain everything soon, but I wanted you to hear it from me. Sorry for any inconvenience." My brother called back immediately. "What the hell happened? Is this about what Sarah said?" "Partly," I said. "Mostly it's about me realizing we want completely different lives." "You're sure? This seems fast." "I'm sure." "Tom, your wedding was beautiful. Watching you and Jessica, seeing how you guys are on the same page about everything, it made me realize Sarah and I aren't. We're not even reading the same book." He was quiet for a moment. "I support you. But man, Mom's going to freak out. I'll talk to her. This is my decision." I called my parents that evening. My mother cried, but not for the reasons I expected. "Honey, I'm not crying because the wedding's canceled," she said. "I'm crying because you deserve someone who wants the same life you do. Someone who lights up talking about your future together, not someone who issues ultimatums." "You don't think I'm overreacting?" "To what? Her being honest about not wanting kids?" "No. But you want kids. You've always wanted to be a father. And the way she did it, sweetheart, that was cruel. She wanted to embarrass you, to put you in your place. That's not love." My dad got on the phone. "You need any help moving? Finding a new place?" "The apartment's mine. I had it before we moved in together. She'll need to find somewhere." "Good. Don't let her drag this out. Clean break, son." Sarah remained completely oblivious for 3 entire days. She'd come home from work, complain about her boss, ask what I wanted for dinner. I'd respond normally, go through the motions. Part of me was curious how long it would take her to notice. On Wednesday, she came home excited, almost bouncing. The girls want to do bridesmaid dress shopping this weekend. I was thinking we should show them pictures of the venue so they can get a sense of the aesthetic. Do you have the layout the coordinator sent? I was sitting on the couch, laptop open, looking at apartments. I closed it and looked at her. The venue is canceled, I said calmly. What? She laughed, like I'd made a joke. Canceled for what date? Our date. Our wedding. The smile dropped from her face. What are you talking about? I canceled the wedding. The venue, the caterer, the photographer, all of it. She stared at me. You're joking. I'm not. You. She dropped her purse. You canceled our wedding without talking to me? You made an announcement about our future without talking to me first, I said. At my brother's wedding, in front of my entire family. That's completely different. Those were my boundaries. My body, my name, my choices. You're absolutely right, I said. And I respect them completely. I'm not trying to change your mind or convince you of anything. She looked confused, angry, like she couldn't get her footing in the conversation. Then why would you cancel everything? Because your choices and my needs are incompatible, I said. You don't want kids. I do. That's not something we can compromise on. Either we have kids or we don't. Someone's going to be unhappy. We never agreed to kids. I said maybe someday. And at the wedding, you said never. Which I appreciate. You were being honest. But Sarah, I want to be a father. That's not negotiable for me. I want kids, multiple if possible. I want the chaos and the sleepless nights and the first days of school and teaching someone to ride a bike. I want that life. So that's it. You're throwing away 2.5 years over one comment. It wasn't one comment. It was clarity. You showed me exactly who you are and what you want. I believe you. And what you want isn't what I want. She started pacing. This is insane. You're being completely unreasonable. What will people think? You're embarrassing both of us. I'm sorry if you're embarrassed, I said. But I'd rather embarrass us now than divorce in 5 years when you realize I resent you for the kids we didn't have, or you resent me for the ones we did. I could change my mind about kids eventually, she said, but her voice was uncertain. Could you? Or would you be having them for me? Not because you want them. She opened her mouth, closed it, couldn't answer. That's my answer, I said quietly. She tried a different approach, her voice softening. Your family puts too much pressure on you. Your mom especially. She's always hinting, always commenting. You're choosing their expectations over me. No, I said. I'm choosing my own expectations. My own dreams. Sarah, even if my family never said another word about grandchildren, I'd still want kids. This isn't about them. But the name thing. You said you were fine with me keeping my name. I was. I am. The name alone isn't the issue. It's everything together. It's the life you want versus the life I want. You want your career, your freedom, your independence, no kids, no traditional anything. That's valid. That's fine. But it's not what I want. So I'm supposed to just give up everything I've worked for? Become some stay-at-home mom who lives for your family. I never asked you to give up anything. But you're asking me to give up fatherhood. You're asking me to be okay with never having kids. And I'm not. I can't be. She was crying now, angry tears. You led me on. You proposed to me. I proposed to someone I thought I knew. Someone who said, maybe someday about kids. Someone I thought I could build a life with. And maybe I was in denial. Maybe I saw what I wanted to see. But Saturday, at the wedding, you made everything crystal clear. And I heard you. This is just your pride talking. You're mad I embarrassed you in front of your family. I'm not mad, Sarah. I'm just done. There's a difference. She cycled through everything. More anger, more bargaining, trying to make me the villain, trying to guilt me about how much time and money we'd invested. When none of it worked, when I stayed calm and firm, she finally broke down completely. I love you, she sobbed. I know, I said. I love you too. But love isn't enough when we want completely different lives. She moved out over the next 2 weeks. It was ugly at times. Fights about who owned what, cold silences, slammed doors. Some of our mutual friends took her side, said I'd overreacted, that I'd been too hasty. Others understood, said we clearly wanted different things and it was better to end it now. I didn't badmouth her to anyone. When people asked what happened, I just said, we realized we want different futures. It's nobody's fault. Sarah wasn't as diplomatic. I heard through friends that she was telling people I'd given her an ultimatum, that I'd tried to force her to have kids she didn't want, that my family had sabotaged our relationship. I let her have whatever narrative she needed. The people who mattered knew the truth. She tried to contact me for weeks afterward. Long texts at 2 a.m. about how we could work through this, requests to meet for closure, emails about how I was giving up on us too easily. I responded once. I hope you find someone who wants the same life you do. I'm not that person. Please respect my decision. When she showed up at my apartment unannounced one night, crying on my doorstep, I gently told her she needed to move on, that this wasn't healthy for either of us. Then I blocked her number. 3 months after the breakup, I was settled into my own routine. The apartment felt more like mine with her things gone. I'd repainted the bedroom, reorganized the kitchen. Small changes that felt like reclaiming space. I wasn't dating. Didn't feel ready. But I felt peaceful. Not happy exactly. Not yet. But not regretful either. My brother called one evening. Hey, so Jessica and I have some news. Yeah. We're pregnant. Just found out. You're going to be an uncle. I felt this surge of joy so pure it almost hurt. Tom, that's incredible. Congratulations, man. Thanks. Listen, Jessica was worried about telling you so soon after everything with Sarah. Don't be ridiculous. This is amazing news. I'm thrilled for you guys. Sarah was at the wedding, Tom said carefully. She saw how traditional everything was, how happy everyone was about family and kids and all that. I think it made her uncomfortable. Made her feel like she had to draw a line in the sand. Maybe, I said. Or maybe she was just being honest about who she is. Either way, I'm glad she told me before we got married instead of after. You doing okay? Really? Really, I said. And I meant it. 6 months after the breakup, I was having dinner at my parents' house. Tom and Jessica were there with her growing baby bump. My parents couldn't stop fussing over her, making sure she was comfortable, asking about nursery colors. It was chaotic and warm and exactly the kind of family I wanted to be part of, wanted to create. After dinner, I was playing with my cousin's toddler, building block towers for him to knock down. He was giggling, asking for again, and I felt this contentment settle over me. My mom sat down next to me. You're going to be a wonderful father someday. Thanks, Mom. The right person is out there, she said. Someone who wants the same beautiful life you do. I know, I said, and I believed it. I found out through a mutual friend that Sarah was dating someone new. Apparently, she'd told him on the first date, I don't want marriage or kids. If that's a deal breaker, let's not waste each other's time. I was genuinely glad. Not in a bitter way, but in a real way. She was being upfront about who she was and what she wanted. Some guy out there would hear that and think, perfect, me neither, and they'd build whatever life made them both happy. That guy just wasn't me. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is respect someone's boundaries by walking away when those boundaries mean you'll both end up unhappy. Sarah wanted a life without kids, without traditional marriage, with total independence. She deserved to have that life with someone who wanted the same thing. And I deserved to find someone who lit up talking about the future we'd build together. Someone who'd see my mom's hopeful questions about grandkids and smile instead of scowl. Someone who wanted the chaos and joy of raising children as much as I did. I respected Sarah's choice. I just also respected myself enough to admit it wasn't the choice I could live with. That night at the wedding, when everyone stared at me waiting for a reaction, I said, okay, because I meant it. I was okay with her choices. I just wasn't okay with giving up my own dreams to accommodate them. And honestly, that was okay too. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.